What if all the mountains on Earth became flat in one single night? No warning, no epic countdown, just a quiet global surprise. You go to sleep with snow-covered peaks on postcards, and you wake up in a world that looks like someone pressed the entire planet with a giant cosmic iron stay with this thought. Because by the end, you will see why mountains are not just pretty picture backgrounds, but the secret backstage crew that keeps the whole show of life running. Imagine morning comes. People in a small town at the foot of a famous mountain open the curtains and freeze. The great rocky giant is gone. In its place is a polite, slightly boring plain that stretches to the horizon like a badly drawn line in a notebook. Ski resorts stare at empty slopes that no longer exist. Cable cars hang in the air and end nowhere, like very confused metal noodles. Hikers post desperate photos online, saying that the mountain has simply logged out of reality. Now let us pause the comedy and look under the surface. Literally, mountains are not random rock decorations. They grow where giant plates of the earth slowly push and squeeze each other. Over millions of years, that pressure folds rock layers upward, like wrinkles in a carpet. At the same time, wind, rain, ice, and gravity work as very patient sculptors, carving sharp ridges and smooth valleys. So if all mountains became flat overnight, something huge must have happened to those plates. Either they all decided to stop moving, or a mysterious force shaved the planet very fast. In both cases, physicists and geologists would need very strong coffee. Very quickly, the weather would begin to panic. Mountains act like giant air traffic controllers for clouds. They force moist air to rise, cool, and drop rain or snow. On the other side, in their shadow, deserts often form, flatten everything, and you remove that careful rain choreography. Places that were once wet and snowy might dry out. Old dry regions could suddenly turn rainy. Rivers that began as thin, cold streams high in the mountains would lose their source. Famous waterfalls would disappear, leaving behind sad, empty cliffs that tourists stare at with the same energy as they stare at a turned-off television. Sea level would join the drama. All the rock from flattened mountains has to go somewhere. Some of it would slide down and fill valleys. Some would crumble and wash into the oceans. Coastlines might creep inward as sea basins receive this new load of sediment and water spills higher on the shores. Port cities wake up to find their docks misplaced. Someone tries to update the global map and quietly cries. Life would be extremely confused. Mountain plants that like thin air and cold temperatures would have nowhere to grow. Special animals that evolved in high rocky worlds, such as mountain goats and snow leopards, would lose their homes. They cannot simply move to the flatlands and pretend that everything is fine. The whole collection of unique mountain ecosystems would vanish, like a huge library that someone turned into blank paper. And yet, humans would do what humans always do. Very quickly, someone would say, "Great, more land for highways." Engineers would celebrate easy tunnels that are now just straight roads. Airplanes would enjoy calmer routes without violent mountain winds. People would build very long bicycle paths and brag that they can now ride across entire continents without climbing even one serious hill. Real estate agents would invent new words for nice flat view. However, after the first excitement, a quiet thought would appear. The world would feel visually smaller. Without peaks on the horizon, there would be less sense of mystery. No summit to climb, no far shining ridge to chase. The planet would look tidy, but almost too tidy, like a desktop with every single icon deleted. Here is the twist. The question, what if all mountains flattened overnight, is really a mirror. It reminds us that mountains are not only obstacles to remove or pretty shapes to photograph. They are records of time, frozen stories of collisions, climates, and living things. If some all-powerful force did flatten them, the greatest loss would not be only in physics or in weather charts, it would be in our own imagination. Because in the end, a world without mountains might be easier to cross, but it would also quietly ask us a hard question. Do we want a life that is always flat and simple? Or do we still need peaks to climb in order to feel that we are truly alive?